Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Well, this one today is a big one. We got a ton of chaos and disruption that is taking place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. For those who are working hard each and every day and don't get a chance to watch the local or national news, it might be time for us to be a little bit fearful of our own government, let alone President Donald Trump, because allegedly ICE agents allegedly shot and killed a U.S. citizen who was not an immigrant or an illegal immigrant or an immigrant. She was a U.S. citizen, tax-paying citizen, who got shot in the head and killed today in a neighborhood, not in downtown Minneapolis, not on some random street, but the ICE agents were out and about in this one particular neighborhood. They are saying that she recklessly was driving her car into ICE agents and using it as a weapon, and she got gunned down by ICE. What is that saying about us as a society today? This was not an illegal immigrant. This was a tax-paying person that lived in Minneapolis, a female, and now she and her family, she is gone, and her family has to mourn her death. And you got to remember, a few years ago, Minneapolis, Minnesota had just gotten a little bit of reprieve from the George Floyd incident with the cops there, and George Floyd ended up dying, and there were major protests with Black Lives Matter, and there was looting and buildings being burned down. And just when you thought Minneapolis was getting a little bit of reprieve, this ICE situation just took place today. And there's been a lot in the news about Governor Tim Walz and how he's managing the state of Minnesota. And there is about $1 billion worth of waste that's being, or federal and state dollars that are being absconded by illegal nonprofit agencies. And there is a lot going on from the state government, from Tim Walz's office, all the way down to the city of Minneapolis and St. Paul. There's a lot going on in Minnesota, but today has created a lot of chaos and disruption, and we have to see where we are headed as a society in the United States of America, and are we headed towards civil unrest? There needs to be some kind of grapple put on this situation with ICE and how they are going after, it seems like, almost anybody. Nobody is safe. So let's get into the story of what happened today, just today, where ICE agent shoots and kills a woman during the Minneapolis immigration crackdown. A federal officer shot and killed a Minneapolis motorist when she allegedly tried to run over law enforcement officers during an immigration crackdown in the city, authorities said today. Now, they're saying that she tried to use her car as a weapon to run over ICE agents. But remember, there's surveillance cameras, doorbell cameras all throughout this country and in most of our neighborhoods. So just because the ICE agents are saying that she tried to run him over, we have to see what the camera footage. The camera does not lie. The surveillance video does not lie. And we have to see what happened, who's at fault, and if the ICE agents ended up being at fault and killed an innocent U.S. citizen, are they going to bury the footage like they have buried the Epstein files? So, Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer shot the woman in her vehicle in a residential neighborhood in Minneapolis. Department of Homeland Security spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement. They're also saying, the news reports are saying that the woman got shot in the head. The shooting marks a dramatic escalation of the latest in a series of immigration enforcement operations in major American cities under this Trump administration. It's at least the fifth person killed in a handful of states since 2024. It's been at least 5 people that have lost their lives with this ICE situation. The Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul have been on edge since DHS announced Tuesday that it had launched the operation. So Trump sent in troops not only to LA, Washington, D.C., he talked about sending them to Chicago, Baltimore, and he definitely has sent them into Minneapolis. The Twin Cities, they're saying that the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul have been on edge since DHS, Department of Homeland Security, announced Tuesday that it had launched the operation with 2,000 agents and officers expected to participate in the crackdown tied in part to allegations of fraud involving Somali residents. If you just look at this almost looks like there is an ongoing war here in America. I mean, if you just look at this whole chasm, this whole axiom that's taking place, how does this sound any different than what's taking place in some of these, in the Ukraine and Russia war, outside of the bombing and the high volume of people that have died? But it does seem like there is a lot of chaos and disruption, and we may be headed towards civil unrest. A large throng of protesters gathered at the scene after the shooting, where they vented their anger at the local and federal officers who were there, including Gregory Bovino, a senior U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officer who has been the face of the crackdowns in Los Angeles, Chicago, and elsewhere. In a scene that harkened back to the Los Angeles and Chicago crackdowns, bystanders heckled the officers and blew whistles that have become ubiquitous during the operations. Shame, 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 and ICE out of Minnesota, the crowd loudly chanted from behind the police tape. After the shooting, Mayor Jacob Frey said immigration agents were causing chaos in their city. I talk about chaos and disruption all the time. And our U.S. government is supposed to be here to protect our U.S. citizens, not go after them, illegally arrest them, let alone gun them down. Remember that. We are demanding ICE leave the city and state immediately. We stand rock solid with our immigrant and refugee communities, Mayor Frey said on a social media post. The area where the shooting occurred in a modest neighborhood south of downtown Minneapolis, just a few blocks from some of the oldest immigrant markets in the area and 1 mile from where George Floyd was killed by police in 2020. How ironic is that? Life goes in a circle, full 360 degrees. Where you start and where you finish sometimes is at the same spot. The unbelievable will become believable and the unforeseen will become seen. We are in some troubled times today. We've been trying to live life as fully as possible in light of the fear and anxiety that we feel, said the Reverend Harold Osorto, pastor of St. Paul's San Pablo Lutheran Church, which is a predominantly Latino congregation in the area. The Immigration Defense Network, a coalition of groups serving immigrants in Minnesota, held a training session yesterday on Tuesday night for about 100 people who are willing to hit the streets to monitor the federal enforcement. So now you're talking about community engagement, community policing. Remember, doing Black Lives Matter, we wanted community policing for ourselves. Defunding the police was one of the things, and we wanted to police ourselves in our own communities. Well, guess what? Look at the dichotomy and the hypocrisy now. Now we have community policing to watch over and to combat and to keep a sharp eye on the police. So we're policing the police or our government agents, ICE. So it goes from community networks and outreach to keep our community safe from criminals. And now we need community outreach and a safe haven from our own governmental officials. Where in the world is the United States of America headed? We are living in some very uncivilized times, and the level of inhumanity is reaching its peak. The difference between life and death is a nimble, and we need to reach back and have a God-based lifestyle, and we need to figure out what in the world is going on. We opened up our borders wide open during the Biden and Kamala Harris tenure, that 4-year period when Biden was the president, let in 15 to 20 million illegal immigrants. That was hubris and over exuberant at its best. And now President Donald Trump is going the total opposite measure, where he's using these ICE agents and the National Guard by any means necessary to detain people, whether it's legally or illegally. And where is the Supreme Court, who is supposed to be the major benefactors or major contributors to our civil liberties and our civil rights being in a healthy state? And we're not hearing anything from our U.S. Supreme Court. So you have the president, you have Congress, you have the Senate, and you have the United States Supreme Court, who is supposed to be the overseer of our rights as U.S. citizens. And it seems like there are a lot of violations that are taking place. Tell me what you think about this situation where ICE agents allegedly shot a woman in the head who was not an illegal immigrant, who was a U.S. citizen, and they're claiming that she tried to use her vehicle as a weapon to run over ICE agents. But we have to see, witnesses and bystanders are saying that's not true, and we have to see what the surveillance cameras have to say about this situation. It's very unfortunate, and there's a lot of chaos and disruption happening in America. Please keep your head on a swivel. Please keep God centered in your life, and let's try to do the right thing. This has been a Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.